Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Facebook Live, where we bring in many different contents from both inside and outside our real estate. And today I'm so excited because we are going to be talking something about our favorite, our new favorite, which is industrial. And today I'm joined here with my buddy and partner Tom Bibi Varghese, and my name is Dr. Noah Liu. We've been involved in multiple deals with Tom and myself, and we are just talking about real estate here to bring you content to learn and to get started for our beginners. So, with that being said, Tom, take away, man.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Facebook Live. And we are so excited, as usual, to bring you some amazing news about real estate and how you can get started. My name is Tom Bibi Varghese. I'm one of your co hosts here with Dr. Noah Liu. And we've been running this for over a year. And we are excited to say that several people have reached out and said they've been learning a lot. They have, in fact, even joined some of our deals, and some of them have even purchased deals themselves. But our goal is to educate you so you can get into a deal. I'm a serial entrepreneur, also do real estate on the side. I have a portfolio of over 1,000 units, which includes storage, residential, and industrial properties. And I really love industrial flex storages. And we'll talk about why in a moment. So we're going to look at an industrial flex storage deal, which we think is going to take off like crazy in the next 4 to 5 years.
Right. Like anything else, what we do is we look at multiple deals. And what we bring, like anytime we do a case study and we bring these deals live to our Facebook group, it's not so much that we are acquiring them like right away, but what we like to do is we like to show you the process. So we like to demonstrate like what is behind the scenes, what's going on, how is Tom and I we are able to filter out some of these projects coming up. What's going on with cap rate, for example, what is going on with the NOI. And a lot of times when we look at these deals, when they're asking for a certain dollar amount, we want to make sure like that dollar amount makes sense, because as a seller, we all know we always are asking for a lot more. But we got to make sure that we can substantiate with the actual performance of the property. So today, like any other property, we're going to be diving a little bit into one property that Tom identified as a potential target. So when we talk about these potential targets, it's all in the numbers, the location, and exactly when it was built, because we don't like too old of our property. So this one here, we just checked it out. Tom was in contact with this seller like a while ago, and now I think they want to kind of interested in selling again. So we're just going to share a little picture here, but we are going to be diving into the specifics a little bit and just kind of take away the curtain and see like how do we analyze some of these deals. So Tom, you want to share your screen real quick there?
Yeah, let me do that real quick.
So while Tom is doing that, like anything we assess a real estate deal, we have to look at number one, and first and foremost, is location. Where is it located? Second thing we always like to look at is what is like the actual vacancy. Is it vacant or is it like fully occupied? Because that will really determine the NOI, which is net operating income, and that's all based off the rents that the tenants are paying. So with that being said, we got this one picture that's overview. It's a flex industrial. So when we talk about flex industrial, all it is just an office space and a warehouse in the back, and they usually range anywhere from like 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. So, Tom, you want to talk a little bit about this one here and what's the story behind it?
Yes. Now, this one, as you can see, as Dr. Noel was saying, is you can see in this picture, it's a warehouse with a small office space, right? Why do we love this? First of all, this one has been going up in demand like crazy over the last few years, but it has been getting little to no attention over the last 5 years or so. But now, all of a sudden, money and attention has started moving towards this. And this is what happened, if you think about it, in multifamily about probably about 7, 8 years ago. People were buying assets. Then all of a sudden, the interest started moving into that. Then, all these properties started getting bid up and bought up with high value money, right? And then lower cap rates. Now, this one we're talking about is a beautiful brand new property, and this is going for 7 cap, and you can never get this in multifamily, right? 7 cap for a beautiful property, usually it's like 5 cap, which means multiple $1 million differences for these kind of square footage is what we're talking about. But here the demand is spiking simply because the people who occupy this are regular contractors. It could be a small e-commerce company, it could be a painter, plumber,
Mhm.
HVAC guy. They just rent these spaces and operate their business out of this. And it's so easy to manage. You don't need to come up with a build out. You don't need to worry about maintenance. All of this is taken care of in these, and there is very little to no maintenance in these kind of properties. Now, this one that we are looking at is about 1,200 square feet average per unit. And you can see there's a small office involved in each of these. And this one is 3 buildings, and it's about roughly 30,000 square feet total. And they're asking, how much were they asking, Noel, for this?
So they're asking $3.4 million, and we kind of have to break this down a little bit because if they're asking for $3.4 million, right, Tom? You said
Yeah,
how many square feet?
it's about 28,000 square feet total, I think, like close to 30,000.
So 3.4 divided by 28,000, right?
Yup.
So it's about 121.42 a square foot. So when we're looking at industrial, we kind of want to be like, what did we say, Tom, last time? Like about $100?
Yeah, I mean, if it's brand new, they're going for 150 plus.
150 plus. Okay. Okay. So that's one of the metrics we look at, right? We look at the whole square footage. We take it up and we divide it by the asking price. A lot of times when these guys are asking, they're always asking a little bit more. And the way they ask a little bit more is two ways they can do it. They can actually bump up the NOI, which is a net operating income, and many times they will have those leases up, and they might have some extra income from here or there, which they kind of add everything into the deal to bump it up. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is also by compressing on those cap rates. So what do I mean by cap rate? A cap rate is something which is a return that one can get when they're paying for the property in full cash. So these properties are usually going for around like a ballpark of 7 to 8 cap on those flex industrial. So the lower the cap rate number, the higher the valuation of the property. So if we do the math from the asking, so let's say the asking is about 3.4 million, and we take the cap rate of, let's say, 7%, and we multiply those two, that number, that figure will give us what is called the net operating income. Right, Tom? So you want
Yeah,
to touch base a
absolutely.
little bit, yeah, a little bit about the net operating income. What do you mean by that? Like, what is that there? I mean, we have a gross income and then we have a net income.
Right, right. So gross income is basically all the rent that's coming in and also any kind of other fees that's involved. Maybe they charge a little bit for, using temperature control warehouse, something like that. So that's basically what gross income at the end of the day is the total rent collected. And
Right.
then there is expenses, right? Expenses are what? Insurance, property tax, and the regular maintenance expenses that goes with operating a property.
Right. So what do we do? Step number one, we're going like, okay, these guys are asking 3.4 million. How did they get 3.4 million? So the way they get 3.4 million is when they do the math with the NOI and the cap rate. So for example, if I were to do 3.4, just the way it is, just like that, and we do it times 7%, right? We get a
Mhm.
number. So we get this number is $238,000. Now, what does that mean? This number means this is what the property is making after paying up all the expenses. And that is how we get this number. The reason this number comes up this way is because whatever the valuation of the property or whatever they're asking, we do that times 7%. We get this number. So which means this property is going to be producing $238,000 every year after year. And that is how, when I said initially, what is a cap rate? A cap rate is nothing more than a return. if everything was paid in cash. So every year, this property is going to spit out $238,000, provided that it's a 7 cap. So when we get this, the next step we like to do is take a little deeper dive into who are the tenants, how long is the leases, and are there any delinquencies? Are there any other issues that's going on? We need to make sure that $238,000 add up onto the bottom line of the property, making sure it's performing. Because a broker or a seller, they can make that number up anytime, any day. So what we do is we go and take a little bit deeper dive, looking at all the tenants, all the leases, look at the books, look at the P&Ls, look at the tax returns, making sure all the numbers add up. And Tom, tell me something really quick, man. I mean, how many times do we ever see like the numbers add up completely, or it's even better?
How many times do we see? Almost never, right?
Yeah. How many times do we see the numbers add up?
Never.
Right? Never. And that's a reality of the fact. When we do these a little bit like, napkin underwriting, this is what we call napkin underwriting. We look at how many tenants, how many square feet, how many, what's the rent, what's an average rent. So the average rent in this place is about 16 to $1,700, right? So there are about 14 to 16 tenants. So what we do is we take the 14 and the 16 tenants, we times an average, which is 1675, and you get a number, you times 12, and that will give us the actual gross income for the whole year. And then from there, we have to minus the expenses, and that's how we get to the NOI. And here's the thing. After we get all the gross rents, we actually see the top line, we minus the expenses, because that's another area where the sellers can actually start manipulating those numbers. It's on the expenses. Keep in mind, after the deal is closed, the insurance will go up.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. The property taxes will go up because it's going to be based on a new valuation. So anytime when we are doing underwriting, we have to kind of consider like what's going to happen in the future when everything goes up, and then play it safe. And then almost never the $238,000 will add up, will not add up. Almost never. Right. So Tom, you wanna just chime a little bit about when we offer an LOI, what are some of the parameters we look at when we do these kind of underwriting?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we want to just go through the rent roll and make sure that all the rent that they said is accurate. There's no delinquencies, and also there's a couple of things that the lender is also going to make you do. They will make you do an environmental study, all that stuff, right? So make sure that they'll do their due diligence so they can lend on this property. And but here's the game, guys. So you buy this property. Let's say they're asking 3.4, and we think we can get it for 3.2. Okay, but at the end of the day, that 200,000. I mean, sometimes we get caught up in these things. In the grand scheme of things, that 200,000 is not going to be anything, because you're looking at, let's say, 5 years down the line, you can probably exit on this property for $4 to $5 million. Okay, everything is going up, land is going up, people are moving into Texas, things are getting expensive, there's hardly any land, and people want a place like this. So as anything, real estate goes up almost every year by a certain percentage. So in 5 years, we think it could be, let's say, worth $5 million. So you made one a cool $1 million just by holding the property and cash flowing it for 5 years. That's the game of real estate. Now we have a bigger game in mind here, Noel and I. We just don't want to buy a property and make some bucks and get out of it. Our goal is to buy a portfolio. Own a portfolio of these, maybe worth $50 million. And I love you guys to participate in this so that we all can share when we get that big exit, right? So that's the game. And that's what excites Noel and myself here. And that's what we want to talk about. I mean, we've been talking about for a long time. Now it's time to take action. And this is our vision, our goal. And Noel, did you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so one of those things, like, when we talk about the bigger vision, what I was talking about before was how do we microscopically, we look at these little deals like one at a time, right? To make sure it makes sense. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure like when we have a portfolio, it's not going to be like cash flow negative. So got to do the due diligence, got to do the math, got to do all that stuff there. But once when in the grand scheme of things, when we start acquiring more of these here, what happens is we have something called arbitrage. And arbitrage is something where the multiples go up once you aggregate these guys. So let's say, like Tom said, right? Don't get caught up in the 200K. So even if we were, let's say, paying a little bit over market for whatever reason, but we know the property, performs. We love the location. We love the tenants. We love the way it's built or it's brand new. Sometimes it's worth it paying that little bit extra, because what's going to happen is once it's in the funnel with our portfolio, what it happens is the multiple already just went up.
Absolutely.
So that's the whole thing what Tom was trying to say. However, we just got to make sure like every single deal makes sense. And
Yeah.
and it's not a negative EBITDA, but as a matter of fact, everything is a positive EBITDA. You want to make sure like, it's cash flowing and the NOI can substantiate the debt service. And that's the biggest thing where we talk about DSCR, where we can cover it in another episode. But just kind of know like once when the NOI is there, it should pay for principal and interest on the bank loan as well. And with that being said, it's just got to add up, and we still have about quite a bit left over after paying off all the expenses and all the bank principal and interest. So that is like, on a grand scheme of things and on a small scheme of things, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, guys, we're excited about this, and we'll be talking more about this and let you know how each of you can participate if we end up going after this and getting this deal. So, just wanted to keep you up to date, and what we talk about here is just basically making you understand how these things work and how you can benefit out of that. And if you have any questions related to what we talked about here, just send us a message or leave a comment, something like that. We'd be happy to help you out.
All righty. Sounds good. Hey, Tom, anything else?
No, that's it.
Awesome, awesome. And to all my dental peeps out there, Jan 17th, I will be down at the Podfest with
Yep.
Dr. Go. Make sure you guys register. Use my last name to get $50 off. And I would love to connect and talk, let's say, business, entrepreneurship, even real estate. So see you guys there.
We'll put the link in the comments, guys, so you can register for that. Okay.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Cool, guys.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care. Have a good
All right,
night.
have a good night. Yep. Bye.